part of our job, and even as speakers, our job is going to be bringing in some of the texts, the Racial texts. So these groups, even if they're falling, know how to set up a Christic matrix, how to set it up and how not to. First thing you got to do is get out of denial. If you find yourself in a black hole system, does science have to go up there and sit you there in a spaceship to recognize the fact that there's a black hole at the center of the Milky Way? Gee, how'd that get there? Must be natural. It appears in nature. No. Anyway, I love that one. But anyway, we have the ability now to make a difference. Now, we're not here, and I'm certainly not here, and Naz isn't here, and Mac's not here, and I'm sure a lot of you weren't here. To do, I told you I'd twist around. Silly thing. We're not here to go and surrender the eternal life potential. We could. We could martyr ourselves. Why? Would we feel less guilty once we got there? Why do we feel guilty in the first place, would be the question. Nobody's expected to martyr themselves, because if everybody did, the system of checks and balances in the universe wouldn't work. That doesn't mean you wouldn't give your life for your kids sometimes. Of course you would. We've all done things like that in different incarnations. But right now, the best thing that we can do for any of the people here is, first of all, if we do not want to live in a quarantined black hole system that may or may not be able to hold its Christic center, where it can continually get more, where eventually it may reach its own Big Bang and go back as space dust. If you really don't want to be in that place, there is an option now that won't be there after this separation. Now, the separation's not going to be in 2012. We got more time than that. We even have more time than 2015. They've told me that in density 1, it's likely to begin its, they worded it funny too, it's something to do with some phase of its tachyon cycle that has to do with when this split occurs, when the inhale occurs. Because basically, the viable grids are going to contract and inhale into the middle zone, not all the way into the hub, because it can't hold that, but it can hold, inhale into the E-LAi-sa levels. And that's when the part that's falling will separate and infall. And that will become a quarantine. And I think it's quite a while before we get exhaled again. And this is the stuff that I still got to get the specifics on. It could happen so fast that you don't even realize it did, but I don't think that's where it's going. I think there's a whole cycle that we get to spend in there. And I think what it ultimately is going to look like is whether or not a person takes their body with them or not. Because some people will. Some people will just, not, their bodies aren't going to do it this time. And it doesn't mean, when I'm talking Bardo, I'm not talking go kill yourself and catch a comet. No. Some people are throwing that at me and say, oh, no. No, what I'm saying is, in your natural lifespan, whatever that may be, and that depends on how much frequency you have in your seed atom and how much you'll be able to deal with the frequency changes. If you meet a natural death, it doesn't mean you don't get to go. If you'll just pick it up on the astral. But some people will be able to go into the gardens physically. There'll be much less that do that. It's much harder to get the body ready and to purge out what it's going to take to be able to go through. And the gates we're talking about are the gates to Eden, the Eden gates. And this will take us into reality systems that the only thing I can think of is like the Lilliputians and that kind of stuff, or what was that book? Gulliver's Travels, that one, that kind of effect. There really are gates, but these gates that are going to open now, these are the ones that the Quenia Races pop through every once in a while. But they have to take other paths that we can't even go. The Quenia Races, they were mentioned in the Voyagers Volume 1 book, I believe, are what got known as the Yetis. They were actually created as one of the first guardian races here before the angelic humans were put here, but they were too sensitive. They were so sensitive that they couldn't change the environment at all. If they stepped on a tree and broke its branch, they would feel pain and that kind of thing. And with the damage that was already here when they needed a guardian space, they were not tough enough because they were too sensitive. But they've always loved this place, Earth, and they've always assisted when they could. There were times when they would actually come out just like the bird people used to, and they would save human children if they were running off cliffs by accident, that kind of stuff. The Quenia are going to be one of the first contact host races. And there's another one, and some of them are lovely. They look like, some look more human, some look more Yeti-like, but they're not ugly Yetis. They're actually quite gorgeous, very, very pretty features, very kindly looking they don't really look like apes. They're like hairy, large, kind-eyed people. They don't look like what we call apes either. Like the Yeti image is not even really, what we have is the Yeti image. They have an ape-like structure here in the face, but the eyes and things are quite different, and they're ape-like, you could call them, but don't think of them as just apes, and don't think of them as brutes, because you may find yourself running into one if you're out in nature, especially. They're not going to, like, go sit on your doorstep and say, "Hi, I was assigned to you. I hear you want to come," right? No, they're not going to do that. No, in fact, they're very, very sensitive, and they'll know about, like, if you have contracts with your own soul level and higher that you're going to get out, you'll already have arrangements, because you'll actually carry the codes with you that would give you a leaning as to what gate you would go out in the event of occasions like this, and there would be keepers on their side, on the Eden sides, that would be assigned to certain gate regions. And there would be a certain point in time where, if you were getting prepared to directly go through, some kind of contact would be made. And it may not be by a Queventilier first, it may be by a Hathor first. And they come in various different forms. Their main form, they're the form behind the Elohai kitties and those kind of things. But they're beyond that. They're actually beyond what we'd call form. They're kind of like conscious air, and they have several forms though, but the cat form is one of them. They also have a bird, like a griffin, I think, form. Yeah.